Can't hurt me, David Goggins. From a very young age, David Goggins experienced what most people would consider unbearable. His childhood was marked by physical abuse, deep emotional trauma, extreme poverty, and racial prejudice. Born into a dysfunctional family, Goggins was subjected to a violent and controlling father who placed him in situations few children could survive. While many would have been crushed in such an environment, Goggins began forging what would later become an unbreakable mind. Throughout his life, David confronted not only external demons, but most importantly, internal ones. Fear, victimhood, low self-esteem, and the constant desire to give up followed him every step of the way. But instead of surrendering, he transformed every wound into fuel. His story is not simply about physical endurance, it's about the absolute power of the human mind to resist, adapt, and transcend any obstacle when pain is converted into discipline. The first brutal lesson Goggins shares is disarmingly simple. The mind seeks comfort, the body seeks survival, but growth only happens through pain. He explains what he calls the 40% rule. When we believe we've reached our limit, we've actually only tapped into about 40% of our true capacity. The remaining 60% is locked away, held back by limiting beliefs and our fear of pain. Overcoming these mental barriers requires intentional, conscious courage to stay in discomfort and actively seek pain as a tool for growth. During his youth, Goggins struggled in school. He battled dyslexia, social anxiety, and profound insecurity. Working as a pest exterminator, he carried a deep hatred for his circumstances. He wasn't the strong, popular, or successful kid. He was invisible, lost, and facing a bleak future. But instead of accepting this destiny, he made a radical decision to rewrite his story. A major turning point came when Goggins decided to enlist in the US Navy. But weighing over 300 pounds, 135 kilograms, he was far from qualifying physically. The clock was ticking. He had 3 months to lose nearly 100 pounds, about 50 kilograms, just to meet the basic entry requirements. Few believed it was possible, even he doubted himself. But it was here that Goggins applied his philosophy of extreme discipline. He created a brutal regimen of dieting, running, cycling, and swimming, leaving zero room for excuses or compromises. Against all odds, he succeeded. But his journey had only just begun. During Navy SEAL training, Goggins faced the infamous Hell Week, a grueling stretch of sleep deprivation, punishing physical drills, and relentless psychological pressure. The purpose of the training wasn't just to break people physically, but to test their mental capacity to keep going when their bodies screamed to stop. Many quit. Goggins refused. His mantra was simple: win the war in your mind. What he discovered became a cornerstone of his philosophy. The mind can be trained. Just as we build muscles in the gym, we can strengthen our capacity to endure, persist, and control both emotional and physical pain. Pain is not the enemy. The true enemy is an undisciplined mind addicted to comfort, constantly running from discomfort at any cost. Over the years, Goggins didn't just complete SEAL training. He also became an Army Ranger and an Air Force tactical air controller, a rare and nearly unprecedented achievement. But his challenges didn't stop with military service. He applied the same mindset to civilian life, pushing himself into ultramarathons, triathlons, and extreme endurance races. In his first ultramarathon, without any specialized training, he ran 100 miles, 161 kilometers, in under 24 hours, suffering fractured feet, severe dehydration, and kidney failure. Where most people couldn't even walk in such conditions, Goggins used suffering as fuel. He says, when the pain hits its peak, that's when you need to smile, because you're entering territory where few ever dare to go. He developed what he calls the pain inventory mindset. Every instance of suffering became a mental file of resilience he could access whenever facing new challenges. Each pain conquered strengthened his inventory. Every sacrifice became mental ammunition for future battles. can't hurt me. David Goggins. Another cornerstone of Goggins' method is the accountability mirror. Every single day, he forced himself to face his own reflection with brutal honesty. No excuses, no sugarcoating, no self-deception. The mirror was his silent drill sergeant, exposing failures, weaknesses, and areas that needed immediate action. Growth begins with the raw acknowledgement of mediocrity. There is no progress without truth. Goggins warns about the trap of comfortable mediocrity. He believes most people live in a state of quiet illusion. They work jobs, pay bills, maintain stable routines, but avoid real discomfort. They live in a lukewarm state, free of major failures, but also devoid of great victories. According to Goggins, this comfort zone is the graveyard of unrealized potential. A critical teaching from his philosophy is redefining failure itself. Failure is not the end. It's a brutal learning opportunity. Every fall becomes a chance to extract lessons, correct mistakes, and return stronger. Failure isn't something to fear. It's a strategic weapon for mental fortification. Goggins also exposes the dangerous myth of natural talent. He believes talent is wildly overrated. What separates greatness from mediocrity is not innate ability. It's the willingness to sacrifice, suffer, and reinvent oneself every single day. Discipline, repetition, and mental toughness far outweigh any so-called natural gifts. At the heart of Goggins' system lies radical self-responsibility. He declares that we are 100% responsible for our growth, regardless of external circumstances. While many blame luck, governments, family, or lack of opportunity, he places all focus on personal adaptation and resilience. You either evolve or you surrender. There is no one else to blame. This leads to what Goggins calls the mental toolbox. Each conquered challenge adds new tools to your mental arsenal. Problems that once felt impossible become manageable because you've accumulated experience through prior battles. The unbreakable mind is built through the daily practice of collecting tools for survival. Optimized insights, key teachings, brutal self-honesty is the gateway to true growth. The comfort zone is where potential goes to die. Failure is not defeat, it's tactical training for resilience. Discipline and repetition beat talent every time. You are 100% responsible for your own evolution. Every hardship adds tools to your mental arsenal. If you're resonating with these powerful mental frameworks, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe right now. We're just getting started, and the next sections will reveal the deeper codes of resilience that separate the few who break limits from the many who quit early. Stay locked in. As Goggins advanced further into his brutal growth journey, he realized that the true battlefield was never external. Not the military training, not the ultramarathons, not the physical pain. The real war was always fought inside the mind, every single day, against inner resistance, laziness, and the constant voice that begs to give up. To withstand this daily mental war, Goggins developed what he calls the 1% daily mentality. It's not about giant leaps of progress, but about small, nearly invisible daily victories. Tiny improvements that, when stacked over years, create seemingly impossible levels of mental strength. There's no magic transformation. There's only brutal consistency in daily execution. This leads to his concept of callousing the mind. Just like physical hands develop calluses through repeated labor, the mind can also be hardened through constant, controlled exposure to discomfort. What once was painful becomes tolerable. What was tolerable becomes routine. And what once seemed impossible becomes the next challenge to conquer. However, Goggins warns, no one is born with a calloused mind. This strength must be built intentionally, through continuous and deliberate confrontation with difficulty. The more you avoid pain, the weaker you become. The more you voluntarily face it, the more resilient you grow. Another fundamental lesson from Goggins is the concept of the governor. Just as cars are often equipped with a mechanical governor to limit their speed, our minds come with internal governors that restrict our true potential. These mental limiters trigger discomfort long before true exhaustion ever sets in. The moment we feel fatigue or fear, our internal governor kicks in and demands we slow down or quit. Goggins' mission is to disable that governor. By continually pushing beyond perceived limits, he teaches the mind that discomfort isn't fatal. Every time you ignore the governor and press further, you train your brain to stop overreacting to discomfort, unlocking hidden reserves of performance. This also ties into what Goggins calls taking souls. This is his psychological warfare strategy, where he leverages adversity as a weapon, not only to conquer personal limits, but to mentally dominate opponents. When you perform at an elite level under extreme conditions, while others around you crumble, you take their souls. You gain a mental edge that breaks your competitors' spirits. It's not about humiliating others. It's about seizing control of your environment and becoming unshakable. A key moment illustrating this was during Goggins' SEAL training. While others were breaking down from cold, exhaustion, and sleep deprivation, Goggins smiled, shouted, and performed extra repetitions. This broke the morale of both his peers and even some instructors. When others expect weakness, your strength becomes your weapon. He also emphasizes the importance of mental visualization. Before facing any extreme challenge, Goggins mentally rehearses every detail, the pain, the fear, the obstacles, and his reaction to all of them. This pre-battle simulation conditions his mind to respond with calm execution when the real moment arrives. Mental preparation transforms fear into routine, but none of this is possible without embracing suffering. While most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort, Goggins deliberately seeks it. He sees suffering as a sacred place where true growth occurs. When you willingly confront hardship, you reclaim control over your own mind and body. The suffering never disappears. What changes is your relationship with it. Instead of seeing pain as a signal to stop, Goggins sees it as confirmation that he's entering new territory where most people will never go. Optimized insights. Key teachings. The mind's internal governor limits your true capacity. Disabling the governor unlocks hidden potential. Taking souls builds unbreakable psychological dominance. Mental visualization prepares you for any challenge. Suffering isn't the enemy, it's the gateway to mastery. Your relationship with pain determines your limits. If these mental frameworks are shifting your perspective, don't stop here. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next sections will reveal how Goggins turned pain into power and built an unstoppable identity that few in the world ever achieve. Stay with us. We're going deeper. Beyond the pain. Goggins introduces another concept, the cookie jar. This is his mental database of every past victory, every obstacle conquered, and every moment of extreme discipline. Whenever his mind begins to falter, he reaches into this cookie jar, pulling out reminders of his own strength and resilience. The cookie jar becomes a psychological fuel tank. By recalling previous triumphs in moments of weakness, Goggins creates immediate emotional reinforcement. This internal dialogue reminds him, I've been through worse. I've conquered greater pain. I am capable of more. This tool is crucial when facing overwhelming situations. In moments of doubt, most people focus on the immediate pain and lose perspective. By instead pulling strength from the cookie jar, you override fear and regain momentum. Goggins teaches that every victory, big or small, should be added to your cookie jar. Whether it's finishing a brutal workout, overcoming failure, surviving heartbreak, or completing an ultramarathon, every conquered challenge becomes future ammunition. As Goggins' journey intensified, he learned to embrace an almost obsessive level of self-discipline that most would consider extreme. His life became a constant pursuit of discomfort, not out of masochism, but because he understood that every comfort avoided today strengthens his resilience tomorrow. One of the most profound lessons Goggins teaches is that suffering is inevitable, but how you frame that suffering defines whether you grow or break. Most people ask, why me, when pain arrives? Goggins flips the script and asks, why not me? Every hardship becomes a chosen opportunity to sharpen the mind. He warns about the modern comfort epidemic. Society has become addicted to convenience, instant gratification, quick fixes, digital distractions, and emotional numbing. But these comforts weaken the mind's tolerance for real adversity. True strength isn't built on comfort. It's forged in intentional struggle. Goggins views the mind as a battlefield that must be assaulted daily. The moment you stop pushing, your mental muscles begin to atrophy. This is why he continuously designs brutal challenges for himself, not because he needs to prove anything externally, but because he understands that growth requires perpetual confrontation with difficulty. He also exposes the lie of motivation. Goggins argues that relying on motivation is a losing strategy. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Discipline removes emotion from the decision-making process. You don't ask yourself if you feel like doing the work. You do the work regardless of how you feel. Mastery begins when you perform at your highest level, even on your worst days. Another critical lesson is radical ownership of time. Goggins believes that most people allow life to steal their hours through distractions, obligations, and unexamined routines. He emphasizes tracking your day down to the minute, identifying wasted time, maximizing focus blocks, and eliminating non-essential tasks that drain energy without moving you closer to your goals. To him, time is life's most precious currency. Every wasted hour is a piece of your life permanently gone. By reclaiming control of your schedule, you reclaim control of your destiny. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Suffering is inevitable. How you frame it defines your growth. Comfort is the enemy of mental toughness. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline sustains progress. The mind must be challenged daily to prevent decay. Radical time ownership transforms productivity and focus. Every lost hour is a piece of your life you never get back. One of the most jaw-dropping demonstrations of Goggins' mental resilience came when he set out to break the world pull-up record. The task? Complete 4,030 pull-ups in 24 hours. His first attempt was a failure, filled with excruciating pain, ripped hands, and public humiliation. But instead of quitting, Goggins analyzed every aspect of his preparation, learned from his mistakes, and attacked the challenge again. He redesigned his grips, improved his nutrition, adjusted his pacing strategy, strengthened his hands with brutal training protocols. On his third attempt, after enduring hours of agony, he succeeded. He shattered the record. For Goggins, it wasn't about the number. It was about proving that limitations are illusions manufactured by the mind. Every physical feat became a laboratory for testing mental boundaries. The more painful the task, the greater the opportunity for growth. This philosophy also applied to his military career. After completing Navy SEAL training, Goggins volunteered for some of the most dangerous and grueling missions. He understood that the more pain he willingly faced, the stronger his mind would become for any battle, physical or emotional. One of the most profound takeaways from Goggins' philosophy is the concept of voluntary suffering as a lifestyle. He isn't suggesting we seek pain recklessly, but rather that we intentionally embrace discomfort to build psychological armor. Every challenge becomes a tool for expanding mental capacity. Most people live their lives with self-imposed ceilings, trapped by fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of pain. Goggins exposes these fears as illusions. Most of the limitations we feel are self-created prisons of the mind. He teaches that real freedom is earned by walking directly into discomfort, not once but daily. Be uncommon among the uncommon. While many strive to be above average, Goggins' standard is far more extreme. He seeks to rise even above those considered elite. Another pillar of his system is mastering emotional control. In high-stress environments, whether in combat, ultramarathons, or public speaking, Goggins trains his mind to remain calm under chaos. While emotions surge for others, his mental calluses provide a stable anchor. Emotions are signals, not commands. This emotional mastery allows him to make high-pressure decisions with clarity and avoid impulsive reactions. Staying composed during moments of extreme stress is what separates elite performers from everyone else. Goggins also emphasizes the long-term nature of his transformation. The unbreakable mind is not built in weeks or even months. It's the byproduct of years of deliberate suffering, discipline, and continuous recalibration. He views progress as a lifetime contract, not a short-term goal. You never arrive. You are always under construction. Even after achieving global recognition, best-selling books, speaking tours, and world records, Goggins continues his daily rituals of discipline. Cold showers, brutal workouts, early rising, and mental challenges. For him, comfort is the most dangerous enemy lurking at every stage of success. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Voluntary suffering builds psychological armor. Most limitations are self-imposed mental prisons. Be uncommon even among the uncommon. Emotional. Mastery anchors decision-making under stress. Transformation is a lifetime contract, not a destination. Comfort remains the greatest long-term enemy. Beyond physical endurance, Goggins explains how his system applies to everyday life, for anyone. You don't need to run ultramarathons or join special forces to apply his principles. It could be waking up an hour earlier, holding yourself to higher fitness standards, taking full ownership of finances, eliminating distractions, having difficult conversations you've avoided. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast another vote for mental strength. The path to greatness is found in the micro-decisions made repeatedly over years. He warns that life will constantly offer easy paths, but every shortcut steals from your potential. The easy life costs you the life you truly want. Ultimately, Goggins' core message is brutal but liberating. No one is coming to save you. No mentor, no partner, no job, no system will create discipline for you. It must be built, brick by brick, through personal suffering, radical ownership, and uncompromising standards. As Goggins closes his journey, he circles back to the one factor that makes his philosophy both intimidating and empowering: radical responsibility. In a world obsessed with blaming external forces, circumstances, parents, governments, employers, he strips away every excuse, leaving nothing but personal ownership. You are responsible for everything in your life, whether you caused it or not. This extreme ownership transforms victims into warriors. While most people waste energy arguing about fairness, Goggins focuses entirely on what he can control. It's not about fault, it's about power. He emphasizes that the human mind is adaptable far beyond what most believe possible. The body follows, where the mind leads. Pain can be redefined. Fear can be reframed. Failure can be leveraged. Limits can be shattered, but only when you stop negotiating with yourself. Path to mastery is simple. Stop negotiating with weakness. For Goggins, life is war. Every day is a new battlefield against laziness, comfort, procrastination, and self-doubt. But unlike most, he welcomes the battle, because every victory over self is a step toward absolute freedom. Even when injuries, health issues, or life circumstances slow him down physically, his mental discipline never fades. The core of his identity remains anchored in his system of daily suffering and growth. "You can't hurt me" is not a slogan, it's a way of life. It means becoming so hardened that external criticism, temporary setbacks, and emotional swings lose their power over you. You become untouchable, not because you never fall, but because you never break. Ultimate optimized insights. The final codes of Goggins' philosophy. Radical responsibility is the key to personal power. You are responsible for everything in your life, whether you caused it or not. The mind controls the body, not the other way around. Pain, fear, and failure are tools for growth, not reasons to quit. Stop negotiating with weakness. Act with discipline. Every day is a battle for your own potential. You can't hurt me means mastering your response to adversity. Freedom is earned through suffering, discipline, and ownership. If this breakdown of David Goggins' unbreakable mindset has lit a fire inside you, now is the moment to take action. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave a like. Because here, we don't just summarize books, we deliver optimized mental frameworks you can apply to your life immediately. This is where knowledge becomes power. Let's keep building that unstoppable mindset together.